bring music.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Community Forum. My name is Joseph Feaster. I'm the host of the program. And as I say at every program, I have just exciting and informative guests on Community Forum, and that is true today as well. I have with me a longtime friend, an educator, a person who deals with internet and music in so many different aspects, has taught it, has worked with young people on the subject. It's just going to be a person from whom you could learn a lot of information from, but also learn how you can take a passion and turn it into a business. My guest this morning is Tessil Collins well, there's so many things. I'm not sure, Tessil, how I'm going to introduce you, so I'm just going to welcome you to the program.
Thank you,
So
Joe.
Thank you for being on Community
Thanks for having
Forum.
me.
You have so many different titles and so many different places where you've been, so that's the reason why I hesitated as to which one I was going to promote, whether it was going to be WGBH, whether I was going to do your SoulNet. So I'm going to let you explain to folks the reason for my hesitancy in trying to label you this morning by letting you tell us a little bit about you. I like our audience to have a sense of who our guest is. So why don't you tell them the Tessil Collins that I know?
Well, the Tessil Collins that you know was born and raised in Boston. Went to the Boston Public Schools, attended Tufts University, and then moved on to produce radio for WBZ radio. So folks who remember Jimmy Myers and Lavelle Diet, Guy Manella and Bob LaBelle, I was their producer, and I produced Celtics, Bruins, and the Patriots for radio. And that's pretty much how I got into the industry. I was talking to one of your engineers here. I actually started in radio at a junior achievement program when I was in high school. So starting in radio, moved in to do work at WILD professionally as well as WBZ. Then got into the record industry. Promotion and marketing for such labels as RCA, A&M, and Arista. New England marketing promotion person. And being at RCA, I got the opportunity to leave there and work with a friend of ours from back in the day, Eric Nuri,
Yes.
who was started a record company called Beantown Records. And I worked for Beantown for a while, a couple of years, and then that company folded up, and once it folded up, it was like, well, what am I going to do now? And that's when I really started my own company, Spectrum Management, as well as teaching in the Boston Public Schools, where I taught communication arts, television production at Madison Park Vocational Technical High School for 27 years.
Very good.
And during that time with my own business, and since it is a vocational school, and I was teaching what my company does, I got into management, political management, and I think that's along the lines when we started meeting. I ran Mel King's state rep campaign. I worked with Royal Bowling on his campaign.
Yes.
I wound up managing folks like my brother, Ron Gill, who was an artist here in Boston many years. And then I got into internet radio. And folks really didn't know what the internet was. This is, people just getting into the
Sure.
browser, and graphics and text was really new. People didn't know that you could actually put audio and video on the internet. And I started my company, Spectrum Broadcasting, in 1990. We put Sun Music, sun-music.net, up online. And now that we have broadband and DSL and high-speed internet, it's a lot easier for people to pick up on it.
Well, let me step back, and this is just fascinating because I know many of those facets of what you just mentioned, but not all of them. But I want to go back to two things. One, I hearken back to when you and I had lunch on Tremont Street in a restaurant on Tremont Street in Boston, up there in Mission Hill area.
Yep.
And we talked about some of this as you were transitioning from the educator into your business side. But I was just, I guess, laughing in my mind when you started talking about you did the junior achievement, and I wanted to say to folks, well, we didn't have any digital back then. We didn't have any broadband back then. You were working with what? What was the medium that you
Tape.
had to use back then? Okay.
Tape.
Yeah, so I want our young people to understand because they wouldn't even have an appreciation.
Okay. Well, they can pretty much have an appreciation because if they're looking at their phone or at their media or video device, they'll see all these little icons, and they'll see a scroll like you see on the that shows the film strips, or you'll see a cut tool that's a razor blade. Well, I'm from the Stone Age. We actually used the razor blade to cut the tape. It's not electronic. So
So that's in the editing room you're talking about.
in the editing
Yeah.
room, and then you had, in the old days with the turntables, you had one turntable and
Right.
another turntable. It wasn't that slider. You actually had to switch it.
Yes.
So I don't want to date myself too much, but that's what we were doing.
Well, I mean, you've had just a illustrious career,
Thank you.
as they say, thus far. And I know there's much more that you will do. And again, I just want to elaborate that my guest today, Tessil Collins, has been an educator, taught in the Boston Public School, Madison Park, taught in the field that you love in terms of communications and television. And now you've established not only your own business on internet and otherwise, but you also are on WGBH. Let's take whichever one of those you want to talk about, because this is a time for promotion as well. So you can talk about your business and then WGBH, because you have a jazz show and other things on it. So let's go there.
When we talk about Sun Music and what I've been doing with my own station, the folks at WGBH knew what I was doing. And about 7 years ago, they took all their jazz programming, not all of it, but most of it, off of the air and left Eric Jackson to Friday nights, Saturday nights, and Sunday nights. It was a huge outrage in the community. Folks actually were trying to go after the license behind that. And one of my friends, who happens to be the general manager of radio, said, well, why don't you come over to GBH and do what you do with Sun Music for us? And I built their Jazz 24/7 online music station.
Okay.
So it's 24/7, Jazz 24/7. There's two shows: Eric Jackson's show, which is Eric's Playlist, which plays music from Eric's weekend shows, and then my show, which is the Jazz Gallery. And they're 3-hour shows that alternate through the day. So
So it's on 24/7 each and every day.
each and every day.
Just so now, promotion again. So what dial would one, or how would one access
You would
the
go
programs?
to wgbh.org/jazz 24/7, and it'll open up the page, and the player will be there, and you just hit play on the player, and it'll start giving you the music. Same thing with Sun Music, sun-music.net. You go to the page, player's there, hit play, and it starts playing the music. All of this is, the technology is, fascinating because it's all automated, but it's all mixed and balanced in a way that you're never listening to the same thing at the same time. It's always alternating. And we just drop in the IDs. With WGBH, we're going to be testing going live, really live, bringing Eric on the webcast so that during the day or from maybe 7 to 9 in the evening, he'll do a show over the internet that people will be able to pick up.
Well, you know, it's interesting as you start talking about relationships. I first met Eric in 1967 when I first came to Boston. And I knew that his love for jazz, because I believe his dad was into music.
His dad was one of the first Black American DJs in New England.
Okay. Well, so I knew he had a
He'll
history.
He'll get me. He'll correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, I know that he was, and that has been his passion from that particular point in time to the present, and that's been a long time history.
You talk about illustrious.
Yeah,
he has the illustrious career. Last year, I was fortunate to produce a week-long celebration of Eric's 42, 43, 44 years.
Well, in terms of I guess, is even, I don't know when he started, because I don't know how early he started after I first met him.
He started
that would be 52
Yeah.
years if we're talking about if he,
Like again, Eric will keep us
keep us honest, because my recollection was it may have been, at least he was doing something like 1969, doing something.
Exactly, at WBTU.
That's right. So I tip my hat to him, and I definitely tip my hat to you and to do that. We've identified that your Jazz 24/7 show. We talked about Sun Music in terms of how to access, and we're going to talk about that again, because I definitely want to promote both of those avenues for people to listen to the great music that you put forward. But I'm also want to go to the educator side. I want to go to the side of saying, okay, young person now has an interest. Is there some pathway that you would suggest to them, direct involvement with you or elsewhere? How would you tell one who wants to get into the business that you're in? Since I know you're a believer of passing the baton, how would you direct? Now, and I say young person, I say that because I can say that now since I'm a senior. It could be anyone younger than me, but in great involvement.
Well,
how would you direct them?
Young person, I was a high school teacher. So when I look at young, I can look at folks who are teenagers, young adults, getting into college age or graduating from high school. I would have to honestly say, stay in school, finish school, get the best grades you can get, and think about doing something that may not necessarily be the easy thing. Rapping, sports, they're all good things. But if you have a passion for writing, let me back up a little bit. When we first started, it was what is it that I do? I'm a producer. And producing means that you're taking care of all aspects of a task. And that can be anything from putting on a show like this or cooking a meal. And as long as you're happy and feel good about it, go find those types of people who are doing those types of things that you want to do. Be strong enough, open enough,
adventurous enough
to introduce yourself and present yourself, and keep an open mind that one thing that the technology has given us, which is both a blessing and a curse, which is everybody thinks they can do these many things without actually having to put in the work. And I'd like folks to think that, put in a little time, put in a little work, make some mistakes, find your path, and do the best you can, and folks will come along and help you. At least I know I might come along and help you. You might come along and help you. Sometimes you just have to keep struggling until you find your path.
Well, what I'm going to do now, because I do want to, time evaporates so quickly
It sure
on here, I'd want to go to our sponsors. But when we come back, I want to talk again, following up on that subject, and also maybe even get into, just by illustration, exactly how Tessil Collins moved through this piece and what we might be able to do going forward. So we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Roy Cohen. The crew would like to thank Maxie's Delicatessen, located at 117 Sharon Street in Stoughton. You can reach them by calling 781-341-1662. The American Cancer Society is looking for volunteers to drive cancer patients to and from treatments. You can volunteer by calling 1-800-ACS-6662 or online at www.cancer.org. Ilsa Mark's Food Pantry and St. Anthony's Free Market is located at 2 Park Avenue in Stoughton. For more information, call Christine Gallagher at 781-341-0611 or 781-341-0549. To get involved with Meals on Wheels, call Jessica at 781-344-8882, extension 2. The Stoughton Penny Saver, our business is advertising your business. They're located at 27 Rose Glen Street in Stoughton. To advertise, call 781-344-4833. Community Forum showtimes here in Stoughton. You can see it on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays at 6 p.m., Monday at 8 p.m., Tuesday at 5 p.m., either on Comcast Channel 9 or Verizon Channel 28. If you have any comments or suggestions, contact us at communityforum1@yahoo.com. Samaritans, 41 West Street, 4th floor in Boston, Massachusetts, 02111, or call them at 617-536-2460. The 24-hour helplines, 877-870-HOPE or 877-870-4673. Samaritans, 800-252-TEEN or 800-252-8336, or online www.samaritanshope.org. For you bingo players, I want to tell you about the Monday Night Bingo being held at the Ahava Torah Congregation, 1179 Central Street in Stoughton. The doors open at 4:30 p.m. The games start at 6:30 p.m. You come on down and win some money. They have 2 big prizes. One is $1,199 and the other one is up to $3,000. So come on down.
Stoughton Lions Club Annual Golf Tournament at Cedar Hill Golf Course, 1137 Park Street in Stoughton, will be held on Saturday, May 18th, 2019. And if you are interested in participating in that event or want more information, contact Walter Parsley at 781-408-1248 or at the email that's there online. My guest today is Tessil Collins, who is the producer, consultant of Spectrum Broadcasting Corporation, and also involved with WGBH Boston, where he produces a number of programs and has his own internet music program on www.sun-music.net. And you can access his jazz program at wgbh.org/jazz247. You can contact him by phone at 617-287-8770. Well, we are back, and if you are just tuning in, my guest today is Tessil Collins. He's a producer, historian, and educator, has a number of business enterprises. He is the president of Spectrum Management. He has his own internet radio jazz program, Sun Music, which he streams, and you can reach or connect to that program at www.sun-music.net. He is the producer of the Jazz 24/7 at wgbh.org/jazz247. So he's a busy man. He is I won't say a past educator, because once one is an educator, they're an educator, but he was an educator in the Boston Public Schools at Madison Park High School, which is a technical high school in the city of Boston. So again, Tessil, we're back. Welcome.
Let me just do a shout out, because we're high school and school. I just wanted to shout out to the other places I was, which is Dorchester Academy, Urban Science Academy, and Charlestown High School.
All right.
I also worked for the superintendent. I was the senior coordinator for arts, media, and communications technology programs for the Boston Public Schools.
Well, see, as I said, you're a busy man, and I believe that's right. I didn't want those other, when you and I are riding down in Boston, I didn't want the representatives of those other schools to say, well, why didn't you mention me? I'd have to blame it on you, Tessil. I would just say it was you.
Well, then one last thing. I'm a graduate of the Boston Latin School. So.
All right. Okay. we got to get that plug in for Latin School. For sure. But let's talk about, there's an overarching entity that you have, and that's Spectrum Management.
Well, Spectrum Broadcasting.
Spectrum Broadcasting. So.
Spectrum Broadcasting is we do multi-camera audio video production. So when you go into a stadium or a show or concert, and you see folks with the cameras on one side, and you see images projected on the screens, my company does all of that. And we are also fortunate enough now to be able to broadcast these shows to the internet, to folks' websites and Facebook Live in the same way. All of this comes out of my background also from, again, being the creative services person for the anti-smoking commercials for 6 years for the Department of Public Health.
I think we worked together on that with Donna. You and I, and with Donna Latson-Gittins.
I was before Donna Latson.
You were before Donna. Okay.
Well, I had the contract 6 years before Donna with Kelly Chun and Ajibola Asanubi.
Oh, yeah, Ajibola.
So my production background goes wide and deep, and my company is still doing a lot of work, and we just did the webcast for the CFO Leadership Council at Bentley last week, and very happy to do that with them and looking forward to doing more work.
Well, it's interesting. See, again, it's a matter of oftentimes not connecting the dots with the relationships that you have. I mean, I know a lot about you. I didn't even think about that because I'm involved with some organizations who are about to celebrate. One example of that is our centennial for the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts, and as well as the NAACP convention is coming in next year. So I need to make sure I make some connecting of the dots for you with them, because there are going to be those types of visual aspects that are going to be desirable. So I need to.
Well, we can help you out.
We need to talk offline.
We can help you out.
I'm glad that you mentioned those other academic relationships, because what you were saying when we had the conversation about what you might say to young people in terms of their preparedness, it is evident to me that yes, you have taken the long road in the sense of having a plan and executing as you went along. And I think that part of that sometimes is folks don't have a plan. Why don't you talk about how Tessil Collins developed his pathway to get to where you are right now? I want to use the educational component. We only have a couple of minutes, but if you could take a little bit of time just to touch upon that subject.
From the education standpoint, it's changed a lot. There were always opportunities to take what you learn in school and do an internship or do an apprenticeship. And for some reason, there's not that many opportunities to do those things. So young people are going out and they're trying and testing and, trying to do things without really getting the experience that they need and having a plan. I think as we are always now coming into more collaboration, if one thing about we use the junior achievement model, or even the SCORE model, you work with folks that have a business, working with folks who are trying to get into the business and helping them develop their products. I learned from a wise Japanese man, businessman named Seiho Tajiri, and his words were, "You must have product." So you can go out here and say, "This is what I do. This is what I want to do," but unless you can actually present some type of product or service that people can actually dig in their pocket and say, I'm gonna pay for that. It's good to have likes. It's good to have thousands of followers, but thousands of followers and likes
Don't produce.
There's nobody in coming in on those. So if you can, make those likes, turn those likes into dollars and cents, and you're in good shape.
Well, Tessil, this has been a extraordinary opportunity in order to learn more about what you do, how you got to where you are. I just want to remind our viewing audience of the many facets of what you have done in I'm going to call it the entertainment world, both by way of your spectrum, broadcasting, which I learned about now, and we're going to talk more about what you do there. What you do in terms of your internet with Sun Music. And again, that's www.sunmusic.net. And your Jazz 24/7 on WGBH. Now you can tune in there at WGBH.org, jazz/jazz247 at 24/7 as it says. All the way around. And I just think, just you as a person who I've known all these many years, you have been giving, you've been helpful in terms of the community. And that's one of the reasons why I want to bring you on Community Forum, because you are a community person. And I just want to thank you so much for being with me today and wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you, and thank you for all the work that you've done for the community over the many years.
Thank you.